I am Niccolò Machiavelli. You know my name as a whisper, a warning, a convenient accusation. When a leader is called Ruthless, they invoke me as if I were a ghost standing behind the throne. But I was never a ghost. I was a witness. I watched princes lose cities because they trusted applause. I watched loyal friends become careful strangers the moment fortune shifted. I watched men who believed themselves, feared discover, too late, that they were merely tolerated. Your century is louder than mine. You carry voices in your pockets. You display your thoughts to strangers as if exposure were a form of safety. It is not. Danger has not disappeared. It has refined itself. It no longer wears armor. It wears familiarity. It smiles. It asks questions. It learns your habits. You believe enemies announce themselves with hostility. No. The most dangerous ones approach with agreement. I returned because your world rewards visibility and punishes caution. You are taught to be open, accessible, understandable. In my time, those qualities marked a man for removal. You wish to be liked. You should wish to be difficult to harm. There is a mistake I have seen powerful people make across centuries, a single misjudgment that causes their fall to appear sudden, mysterious, almost unbelievable. They begin to think the danger has passed. It never passes. It only waits for your attention to wander. And there is one type of opponent you must never destroy openly. If you humiliate them, if you leave them with nothing but memory and resentment, you do not eliminate the threat. You transform it into something patient. You call your age advanced, yet you still trust the same fragile illusions, loyalty without incentives, admiration without envy, peace without preparation. Safety is not granted to the good. It is negotiated by the prepared. So listen carefully. Today I will give you 8 lessons learned in courts where a misplaced word could cost a life, where smiles concealed calculations, where survival depended not on strength, but on perception. These lessons are ruthless because reality is indifferent to comfort. They will not make you cruel. They will make you difficult to corner, because untouchable does not mean invincible. It means that harming you becomes a risk few are willing to take. To understand how to achieve this, you must first see how easily power, even unquestioned power, disappears. Let me show you a fall that looked impossible, until the moment it happened. I have observed many rulers, and the most instructive lessons often come not from the battles they fought, but from the quiet moments they ignored. Consider a prince, beloved, respected, seemingly secure. His court applauded him each morning, his banners flew high, and his coffers overflowed. All appeared well. Yet beneath the veneer, threads of danger were quietly weaving. Courtiers whispered in corners, alliances shifted like sand, and old friends measured the value of his favor. He removed obvious threats, but he did not perceive the invisible currents of envy and self-interest swirling around him. He trusted that loyalty was permanent, that affection would last, that stability was his ally. He was wrong. Power does not vanish in a thunderclap. It dissolves in subtle erosion. One by one, those he relied upon began to act in their own interests. Minor betrayals were overlooked because they seemed harmless. Words of caution were dismissed. The prince believed his reputation, earned through victories, could shield him from treachery. Then the unexpected occurred. Not an army at the gates, not a coup announced by drums, but a withdrawal of support so quiet, so polite, that he did not notice until he was isolated. The allies he considered steadfast became observers of his decline. Friends became bystanders. Even servants became cautious strangers. Power is rarely taken. It is surrendered, gradually, imperceptibly, by those you believe you can trust. Most believe falling is dramatic. I tell you, the fall is quiet. It is polite. It asks permission. History is precise in its cruelty. It punishes those who misread human nature. What ended him then still ends leaders today. Only, the stage has changed. In boardrooms, online networks, friendships, or intimate partnerships, the currents remain the same. He discovered, too late, that eliminating threats is insufficient when the conditions that breed them persist. And so he fell. Next, we will dissect the mechanisms of human behavior that make such a fall inevitable, and why understanding them is the first step toward becoming untouchable. Power is less about what you possess than how others perceive it. I have studied the minds of rulers, courtiers, and citizens, and the patterns are clear. Humans act predictably, but only if you understand their incentives. The first principle is perceived cost. People act when the risk seems low. They hesitate when the consequences are uncertain or expensive. A ruler who misjudges this invites action against him simply by appearing safe. To be untouchable, you must ensure that harm costs more than the gain. Every move you make should signal potential loss, subtly, without aggression. Second is controlled distance. Familiarity breeds testing. The closer someone feels, the more they will probe, challenge, and eventually exploit. Leaders who overshare, overtrust, or display emotional availability become predictable. Their predictability is a map for others to navigate their vulnerabilities. Maintain distance, appear accessible, but remain ungraspable. Third is reputation as armor. You need not act at all if your story precedes you. Reputation shields the unprepared. Let rumors of decisiveness, patience, or danger circulate quietly. Others will restrain themselves not because of fear alone, but because the cost of misjudging you is too high. Fourth is uncertainty. Predictable individuals can be manipulated. Stability may seem admirable, but it invites testing. Those who vary their responses, who reveal only what is necessary, cultivate a reputation that cannot be pinned down. Mystery is strategic power. Finally, incentives over loyalty. Human loyalty is conditional. It rarely withstands pressure without reinforcement. Protect yourself not by demanding allegiance, but by ensuring others' interests are aligned with yours. When their gain depends on your survival, loyalty becomes a tool, not a sentiment. Soon, I will reveal why the strongest position is often one that appears calm, even passive, why seeming inaction can be the most formidable strategy. Kindness without boundaries is perceived as weakness, not virtue. The generous ruler who cannot refuse becomes the easiest to manipulate. Power and morality are separate. Conflate them at your peril. These principles are not abstract. They shape every human interaction. How a colleague reacts to a promotion, how a friend measures your tolerance, how strangers respond to your online presence. By understanding these mechanisms, you see the battlefield beneath the surface, the invisible exchanges that determine who thrives and who falls. Next, we will translate these lessons into your modern world, the office, relationships, and social networks, places where your untouchability is tested daily, often without your awareness. Consider the workplace. You may believe that competence guarantees respect. It does not. Your colleagues observe, measure, and catalog your reactions. The one who never loses composure gains quiet authority. The one who over-communicates invites exploitation. The superior who tolerates indiscretion or flattery becomes a target, not because they are weak, but because predictability offers leverage. Being reliable is not enough. Being strategically unreadable is power. You may notice coworkers who seem harmless, even amiable, yet they probe endlessly, testing boundaries, seeking advantage. Those who fail to control distance or misalign incentives will find themselves expendable. Promotions are rarely stolen in open conflict. They are quietly redirected by those who understand human behavior better. Human intimacy is equally perilous. Overgiving, oversharing, or displaying every thought removes mystery and creates silent contempt. People are not always grateful. They measure your availability against their desire for influence. Predictability invites manipulation. The untouchable person knows when to withhold, when to observe, and when to withdraw. Mystery is not cruelty. It is strategic preservation. Emotional transparency must be measured. Reveal selectively, conceal deliberately. Allow others to wonder at your motives. Let them guess your limits. If they cannot anticipate your reaction, they hesitate before acting against you. Even the digital world obeys the same laws. Every public declaration, every post, every image broadcasts your tendencies. Enemies, often invisible, study your habits, measure your limits, and test your resolve. Silence, carefully maintained, can protect you better than argument or defense. A measured presence, one that signals caution and unpredictability, deters attacks more effectively than noise. Social networks, group chats, and public interactions are minefields for the unprepared. Each exposure is a data point others use to anticipate your actions, manipulate outcomes, or challenge your authority. The more readable you are, the easier you are to corner. The safest person in a room is not the strongest, not the most visible. It is the least readable. The one whose intentions are concealed, whose movements are calculated, whose presence is underestimated. To become untouchable, you must act according to rules that govern behavior, even when desire, fear, or emotion tempts you to act otherwise. Discipline is invisible power. Perception is armor. Now that you see how invisible battles occur in everyday life, I will lay out the laws. 8 principles of untouchability that, if followed, protect you before harm arrives. If you have observed carefully, you understand that untouchability is not chance. It is deliberate. It is cultivated through laws that govern thought, behavior, and presence. I offer 8 rules, not suggestions, but principles that have preserved rulers, generals, and strategists across centuries. Law 1. Never need what others can deny. Dependence is vulnerability. If your survival, comfort, or influence relies on someone else's generosity, you are exposed. Cultivate resources, alliances, and options so that no single individual controls your fate. When harm threatens, your independence becomes the first line of defense. Law 2. Be polite, not accessible. Courtesy does not imply availability. A ruler who is always present invites testing. A smile can charm. A boundary can protect. Politeness keeps enemies calm. Accessibility invites intrusion. Let your appearances be controlled. Your time a scarce resource. Those who measure your availability will act more cautiously. Law 3. Reveal strength. Slowly. Sudden displays of power provoke alliances against you. Show competence, influence, or resource slowly, deliberately, in controlled doses. Let others underestimate your full capacity until the moment it matters most. Reveal too much, too soon, and you become a target. Law 4. Control information about yourself. What you reveal is what can be used against you. Guard your thoughts, your intentions, and your plans. Silence in the right moment protects, while indiscretion exposes. Make uncertainty your ally. Mystery prevents precise attack. Law 5. reward loyalty publicly, punish betrayal quietly. The world observes how you treat friends and foes. Loud punishment provokes coalitions. Quiet enforcement sows caution. Publicly honor loyalty. It signals stability. Quietly neutralize betrayal. It signals consequences without provoking resistance. Law 6. Choose which battles are seen. Visibility determines perception. Engage where your action will build reputation, not resentment. Retreat where the cost of display outweighs gain. The untouchable knows that not every fight is worth attention, but every absence is noted. Law 7. Let others underestimate you. Underestimation is armor. When others misjudge your abilities, they take risks they would avoid if they knew the truth. The untouchable cultivates apparent weakness in areas of strength, using misjudgment as protection. Law 8. Exit before you are forced. There comes a moment in every struggle when the battlefield shifts against you. The wise do not wait to be removed. They depart strategically. Voluntary withdrawal preserves dignity, leverage, and influence, while avoiding unnecessary exposure. Even with these laws, untouchability carries a hidden risk. Distance protects, but isolation can leave you without allies when the unseen threat finally arrives. Next, we confront this quiet danger. The danger that no one announces, yet every untouchable person must respect. Even mastery of laws cannot remove all danger. Untouchability has a shadow, a cost that is often ignored: isolation. Distance protects, but it can also leave you unseen, unvalued, unallied when the storm arrives. Those who are untouchable walk a narrow path between influence and solitude. Beware the hidden enemy, the one you cannot observe openly. This is the person who has nothing left to lose. Defeating them outright does not eliminate risk. It transforms it. Their resentment becomes patience. Their silence becomes plotting. You cannot negotiate with someone who has already surrendered everything. They wait, they study, and they strike when least expected. The single mistake that ends even the most careful ruler is believing that safety is permanent. History remembers those who relaxed too soon, who trusted the applause, who mistook obedience for loyalty. The opponent you must never defeat openly is the one whose position is already at the edge. Destroy them publicly, and you create a patient, unseen enemy whose patience exceeds your foresight. The quiet truth: survival is never guaranteed. Even the untouchable can be challenged, not by force, but by circumstance, by perception, by the slow erosion of alliances. One must remain vigilant, not because the world is hostile, but because it is indifferent. Danger does not announce itself. It arrives in the form of subtle shifts, polite withdrawals, and unobserved alliances. To walk this path is to accept a life of calculation. Untouchability is not comfort. It is careful observation, measured action, and the discipline to withhold until necessary. It is the art of existing where harm is inconvenient, uncertain, and costly to others. In the final part, I will show you the ultimate lesson, the closing principle that transforms knowledge into protection, perception into armor, and strategy into survival. You do not become untouchable by dominating others. You do not become untouchable by showing strength or by forcing submission. That is a path that invites challenge, envy, and hidden betrayal. True untouchability is quieter, subtler, and far more enduring. It is achieved by making harm against you too costly, too uncertain, and too complicated to attempt. It is the mastery of perception, the cultivation of distance, and the disciplined orchestration of reputation. When others cannot read you, cannot predict your reactions, and cannot gauge your resources, They hesitate, and hesitation is the first shield of survival. Your world tells you that safety comes from numbers, alliances, or visibility. I tell you it comes from strategy. Safety comes from being perceived as a puzzle, too dangerous to attempt solving. Safety comes from patience, from careful observation, and from the quiet application of the laws I have given you. I have given you the map. I have drawn the principles in stark relief, the steps that preserve life and power alike. Whether you follow them, or whether you allow distraction and desire to erode your judgment, will be revealed in the moments you are tested, moments that arrive without warning. Remember this: the untouchable survives not by force, but by calculation, patience, and invisibility.